In conversation with J.L. Wilton. J.L. Wilton is a writer living on the east coast of Australia. He enjoys the laid-back coastal lifestyle. JL is also passionate about art and painting. He recently started a business, JL Whitton Creative, to combine all of this creative pursuit. He has been writing stories and poems for a long time, but released his first fiction novel, The Pendulum, in 2023. His inspiration behind writing The Pendulum was observing events in Australia and around the world. He's currently set to release his second fiction novel soon. And on today's episode of Photo Interview, it's my utmost pleasure and joy to offer the show today, JL Wilton. How are you doing, JL?
I'm excellent, thanks. Yeah, I'm really keen to talk about literature and my books, and yeah, so I'm really excited.
Absolutely. I'm excited as well to have you on the show today. Quite excited. We're going to be having a conversation around your works. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Absolutely. So, Jaden, I would love you to tell us about your book, The Pendulum, which I found the description page of it to be quite beautiful and quite alluring on Amazon. And I'd love to ask you, how does this book come about? What inspired you to write The Pendulum? And also, how did you come up with this impressive title name?
Thank you. Yeah, well, here it is here.
Beautiful.
I so it it's a sort of literary uh crime thriller type novel.
Mm.
Yeah, with a bit of artistic flair. It starts off at the beginning of the 21st century, and
Oh.
a group of renegades fight to break free from the Australian Federation, and they
Mm.
form a country called the URSC, the United
Mm.
Republic of the Southern Continent, and it's advertised as a place where people can flee the chaos in their own countries and start
Mm.
again, and where
Wow.
all yeah, and all freedom and ideals and people are embraced, but it turns a little corrupt and dangerous. And here's where we meet our main characters, most of whom are immigrants themselves. The main characters, Ali Rose, which is a name of her own making. She's a
Mm.
French immigrant and facilitator, which is the word I've used in the book for a freelance mercenary. So she an associate are caught in conspiracy, and from there, her and another facilitator, just called by the name of Osiris, they get involved in a plan to overthrow the increasingly unjust government, and from there, if they're caught, it can mean devastating consequences not only for them but for the very future of the nation. So, um, it has a bit of ethical questions in there for the reader
Mm.
to consider and ponder. And it also has a bit of philosophical dialogue, it's sort of existential.
Mm.
And I also wanted to throw in a little bit of social commentary about what I saw just happening around the world recently, particularly in Western countries where democracy and journalistic freedom are becoming under threat. So the idea originally come about when I was back in school. I wanted to write
Mm.
stories and just do something in the art and creative industry when I was older, and it was a dream I had for many years. But uh, thankfully, certain circumstances happened where I could get the book out and live that dream, and it came about too because I wanted to add something of value to the world, and I thought
Yeah.
a book was a good thing, and I wanted to inspire a bit of critical thought in people and get
Mm.
people to think for themselves and just inspire thought in people. And I for a long time, even when I was a lot younger, the story was a lot different. It was more sort of about mind control and conspiracy. So it's a lot different
Mm.
now. In the current version, I was very fascinated by the idea philosophically of the pendulum. So
Wow.
swinging through the life. So it ties in with the existential dialogue that I had in there amongst the characters. I had
Mm,
to edit a little bit of it out, but the reason why it's called the Pendulum is because it's the main character Ali's way of explaining just the chaotic nature of life and universe. And I really like the idea of a swinging pendulum metaphor
mm,
to do that. And she explains this to another character in one of my favorite scenes of the book. And
mm.
I think it ties the name in well with the premise of the story, some of the story, and I think it helps humanize the characters as well.
Interesting. I love your take on this, actually. It sounds quite amazing and quite lovely to me. Thank you for sharing. It sounds quite beautiful to me. I love the sound of the
You're welcome.
pendulum. And yeah. For readers who haven't read the book yet, and without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what you would expect in terms of themes, in terms of subject lines, picking up the pendulum? And if you have a copy there, please raise it to the camera just so we can see what it looks like.
Yeah, sure. Here it is. Um,
Beautiful cover, even. Oh, that's a beautiful
yeah,
cover. I love it.
thank you. I had a heavy hand in helping design it. I didn't design it
Oh,
myself, but
oh.
I helped a lot with the design process. So yeah, I'm glad I could do that as well. But in answer to your question, uh, some of the themes that the readers can expect, um, like I was saying, it's a sort of the genre is sort of crime slash literary. So the readers can expect there's some pretty intense themes in there. One of the strong themes is uh, the strength of the human spirit and the triumph
Mm,
of the human will over
wow,
adversity. So the
wow.
characters in the book are fighting for better conditions, not just for themselves, but for future generations. So I think it's a good metaphor for the real world and some of our times now. People fighting for truth and journalistic freedom in places are losing their lives. Um, so while many of the themes are about quite intense things like addiction, murder, depression. Um, I wanted the readers to empathize, yet sort of condemn the characters in a way, as
Mm,
some of them are a little morally grey in areas and with their behaviour, and but they have good intentions. So they often stray from that during the book with some pretty questionable things, but I wanted the reader to be able to still to relate to them in a way. So another thing is the theme of redemption. So a lot of the characters are ultimately kind of flawed in a way, but
mm,
they want to make up for things they've done wrong. So a common thread that joins the main characters is that they've had difficult paths before, and so they have a strong sense of justice and what should be right. So I allude to some of it in the book, things
mm,
like smuggling and child labor. So these are again some
wow.
quite heavy themes. So that's but these I included these because I wanted the reader to question their own stance on a lot of these issues and hopefully
Mm,
evaluate where they stand on some of these issues and so they can expect some of the more intense themes, but it's still a wild ride and a great enjoyable book.
interesting. I actually do love your take on this. I mean, I love you mentioning the strength of the human spirit. Journalistic freedom, adversity, addiction, murder, child labor, smuggling. These are quite amazing and lovely themes you look forward to, especially if you're reading suspense sort of novels. So that's quite beautiful. I quite
Mm.
admirable. I love you, mentioning that actually.
Yeah, thank you. So I wanted that to come through in the book, and I hope it does.
Yeah. And following on to your answer to that, I would also like to ask you, How do you balance the harsh themes of the pendulum with positivity and inspiration? Would you like to talk about that?
So as I mentioned, yeah, some of the themes are on the harsher side, but I balanced them by just instilling that message where I could of the human spirit of
Mm,
perseverance, and just as a reminder throughout the book,
yeah,
um, despite um, there's lots of chaos and turbulence, but I
absolutely.
still underpin it with that message of positivity, I think, and
Mm,
uh, I tried to do the happiest sort of ending I could, given the circumstances and some of the chaos that unfolds in the book
mm,
during um the increasingly unstable government, and some of the protests around the country, and
mm,
considering, without giving too much away, considering what the main characters go through, let alone the entire country, because the fate
yeah.
of its future hangs on a few of these main characters throughout the book. So they've been unfairly subject to different trials and different other things which I won't mention, but
Mm,
I gave it the happiest ending I could, considering what happens, and it may be a little idealist in parts,
yeah.
but I think I've done a fairly honest, realistic depiction of what would happen in such chaos and the breakdown of a nation. And unfortunately, it seems to be happening
Mm,
before our eyes around the world at the moment. So
mm.
I wanted to keep that message of positivity in there, and not just have it the whole doom and gloom aspect.
Interesting. This is quite amazing. And just like I read in your bio that you love writing. Most of your works are inspired by what you've seen in around you in Australia, stuff like that. And I love your mentioning of these things as well. And that's one to make me to ask you, what do you think, or how do you think people in the future will take your story in time to come? Or let me put it this way. What do you think people in the future will think about your stories in time to come? Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, certainly. That's something that I've thought about a lot in the past.
Mm,
I'd like people to look back on them fondly and appreciate them, whatever the circumstance. Say, even if the technology and everything's sort of vastly different today, I hope
mm,
some of the messages that I'm putting into the book, uh, I mentioned before about the triumph of the human will being a big thread of the story. Um, and I hope that that still has relevance to people in the future, and some of these
yeah.
other themes that I think that can be quite timeless, regardless
Mm,
of 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 where they may be in the future, and what some of the technologies may look like. Because
mm,
another thing I addressed in the book is we're sort of right on the precipice of all these new technologies, like artificial intelligence and sort of commercialized space travel and the like. I don't mention space travel in the book, but
mm,
uh, and just things like the cyber world, and augmented reality, and
yeah. Oh,
so these things in
interesting.
the future. Yeah, and I just hope that my stories can sort of live on even longer than me. That's just an idea that fills me with a lot of happiness and joy, just that I could sort of keep fostering thought and still
Yeah,
challenge people, shock to entertain, and to just hope that I can enrich people's lives with my stories. Because I think
absolutely.
as as a writer and creative, I think that's one of the sort of ultimate goals.
Interesting, actually. And I actually love your take on this. If you see, I'm taking some note on my end of what you've said, of what you've been saying, of your answers so far, because I'm really enjoying it. Thank you for sharing. Great.
Yeah, I'm always happy to talk about these sort of things, and yeah, I love debate and talking about literature and just the world and current
Absolutely.
events.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, so Jaden, there's this question that I love asking authors that come on my show. I've always been fascinated, taken aback, and surprised by how authors, especially novelists like yourself, would craft long sentences and bring words together in a way that it eventually makes a great novel. And this always leave me thinking about how exactly they got their ideas and inspirations. Now as far as writing is concerned, I would love to ask you too, how do you get your inspirations and ideas? Where did they come from?
Well, my sort of influences at the moment, I'd say, literary wise,
Hmm.
I've been getting into uh, the American beat poets, so the sort of the beat
Oh.
generation of like Jack Kerouac and Burroughs, and so they've been my sort of big inspiration lately. Another big one lately has been George Orwell, and
Hmm.
I modeled a lot of the Pendulum off of his writing, and so lately I've just what I've been doing as well as trying to absorb information and find my own style and draw influence from the people I like.
Yeah.
Uh, I've become a lot more of an observer lately, just trying to be more observant, and just trying to just look at all the little minutiae of everyday life and existence in different type of way and just try and
Hmm.
examine it and see what I can extract from it and just see what stories, what ideas, what wisdom I can just take away from even the little mundane everyday
Yeah.
interactions with people and things that may not seem important
Hmm.
but it can have powerful relevance and can be a good story. And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, without interfering either in the situation, but just sort of
Absolutely.
and just sort of just observing and seeing what I can derive from that. And and just so I'm always uh thinking about I kind of always on in a sense that brain that there's a part of the writer I think or the creator that always has that idea part going and when you hear something that really that engages that little part that yes you run with it and I just think it never for me and I've heard it sort of with others it never really sort of stops in a way which is sort of a could be a
Mm,
blessing and a curse but yeah
mm.
so I've just been trying to do that lately and it's been working pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually very beautiful. I mean, I enjoy hearing this. I enjoy hearing how your inspiration and ideas come to be. I mean, it's quite beautiful. It's quite amazing. And to hear this from you, it's quite educative as well. So I want to say thank you actually for even, taking your time to share this with me and with the audience in P English literature. This is much appreciated, Jaden. Thank
I want
you.
to I want to inspire education and that so I'm a big fan of doing that.
Interesting. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Now, apart from the pendulum, do you have any of the works you've authored or say currently working on?
I do. I have a little volume of I'm a poet as well. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Fellow poet.
Yeah. So I do lots of things. So I artist, a poet. That's why I had to put them all together and make a
Oh,
business or some career out of it because like I was
absolutely.
saying earlier, when I was writing the stories at school, not really doing my other work, so I sort of had to make a career out of it. So, but I've got this is a volume of poetry that I've written called
Oh,
Continuum of the Anomaly, and
wow.
that's actually one of my paintings on the front cover.
Interesting. That's
Yeah, so
beautiful.
and that's a volume of poems. It's much like the Pendulum. It says a collection of poems that examine the dark and modern anomalies, questioning the strange praxis by holding a mirror up to the world. So
Oh,
it's kind of similar to the Pendulum in terms of the seriousness, and a lot of the poems in there are about some of the harsher themes, like I was discussing before. So
mm,
um, what I'm doing now is I've started writing some more light-hearted, humorous type poems. So that I'm
Wow.
not always writing about such, there's enough misery and stuff in the world at the moment. So I wanted to maybe balance it out, the positivity, like we're talking before about putting together a little book of humorous poems. So that should be coming soon. And
Oh.
I've also finished my second book, which is called The Freedom Pillar. Uh, I can't say too much about it now, other than it's about cults. And
Oh.
if your listeners like the sort of literary genre, then they'll like this book as well. It's ethically, but there's still a lot of intensity in it. But yeah. Yes,
Oh.
I hope the people, yeah, that should be out very soon.
That's amazing. It looks like you've got quite a lot of amazing works ongoing already. And I want to say that's quite commendable. That's a great work. And I hope you find some time to sleep.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Wherever I can, yeah, just take a nap or just on the couch, yeah.
That's amazing. And to know that you're also a poet is quite amazing. I mean, it's lovely to meet a fellow poet. That's beautiful too. That was a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
one.
I enjoy that as well. Yeah, I'm going in a competition soon, so
Oh,
I hope my funny
make
poems
it.
do good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I hope you make it too. I wish you good luck
Mm.
with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, Jaden, do you think you will stay writing in the crime, or literary genres? Do you think you would stay too long in this? Or let me hear your take about this. What do you think?
think I think whatever I write, I just want it to have uh, relevance to people and to the world.
Oh,
Doesn't have to always be the current situation, but
yeah.
I just want to put in those ties that bind us all, and sort of have things that transcend a lot of the generation and age and just things like that. I just mentioned my next work, The Freedom Pillar. It still has that literary artistic flair to it, but
Mm,
it has some grittier elements, but it's a much different story. I was editing through it and I noticed that it had a lot of similarities to the Pendulum in things it was trying to say in terms of social justice uh,
mm,
and and equality and things like that. But it was something that I noticed there was lots of differences and they were almost equal to the similarities. So I just
mm,
wanted to keep those real elements of life in my stories, um, and just those, just with that importance and those themes that really matter. So even if I don't think I will stay in the crime thriller genre forever, but I would like all my works to have sort of that
mm.
artistic flair and that good style of those well crafted sentences.
Wow. That's amazing. I love hearing about that. Listening to your conversation is actually quite inspiring to me. I would say, because I'm taking some notes here, actually. As the interview is ongoing, which I'd love to get back to. And hopefully, when the video is up again, I'd love to rewatch it. That's quite beautiful. Thank you for these amazing words. Thank you.
Mm,
And now,
yeah,
could
thank
you
you, my pleasure.
absolutely? And now, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Are there any challenges you've encountered in the process of writing your book and also ever since it got published? And also, if you have any sort of advice for struggling writers, what would that be? I think I've got two questions in there already.
Yeah. It's definitely an undertaking. It's definitely an arduous journey. It's one of the hardest yet most rewarding things that
Mm,
I've done in my life. It needs lots of dedication, lots of
absolutely.
discipline and effort, and I'm not really in the best position to be saying that because I lack a lot of those things. So I struggled with a lot of those things during the writing process,
Mm,
as well as self-doubt. So I know it can be really daunting, but it can be rewarding in the sense of it can be the fulfillment of a dream, and it can be one of those things that if you set your mind to it, you can
mm,
achieve it. And I know that sounds uh, a little cliche, but there's a reason why. It's because that it works and it's successful. And so I went through lots of uh, self-doubt and procrastination, and I learned a lot of things about myself, about the industry. So there's a lot of research involved. So they'd have to
mm,
do a bit of study, which can also seem daunting in itself because there's a lot of information out there, and there's lots of publishers, and there's lots of uh, there's lots of just everything out on the internet. So I understand where people can feel a little overwhelmed, but there's also times when I was writing it, I went through a common struggle with writers with I didn't think the book was any good, and I didn't think
mm,
anyone was going to like it, but I kept going with it, and I'm really glad that I did because yeah, and it's just that lesson of not even with writing and book publishing, if you just keep going with what you set your mind to, you can accomplish those feats, and you can accomplish those things. Yeah, so
mm,
I'm glad I never gave up. So
mm.
with the struggling writers, if you've got that story to tell and you want to get it out
Absolutely.
there, just don't let anything sort of get in your way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love your take on this, actually. I love your take on this. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And now, before we wrap up our interview today, is there anything that you'd love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview and I'd love the viewers to know? And also, if you'd like to read, say, read a particular section of your book, you're free to do that, a very short one. Or if it's poem recitation you would love to do, that'll be fine too. Whichever ones, I would leave you to decide.
Um, yeah, well, I was, I think I have a little section that might interest the readers, but
Yeah,
while I look for it, I just wanted to say that the Pendulum's a great book at times, but just don't take my word for it. See for yourself. So, um, yeah, just get it, leave a review, let me know what you thought,
yeah.
whether you liked it or not, and just what I did well, what things I did well and what you liked, what I could do better.
Mm,
Um, if you didn't like the book, it won't hurt my feelings because it'll help me get better as an author,
mm,
and it'll help me, grow as an artist and
yeah.
and writer. So yeah, so I have a little section that I'd like to read here. It's towards the start of the book. It's page 29, so
Okay.
it's fairly new to the story. So just introduced the Osiris character, who's a facilitator, and Ali and her associate, a character named Portia, who's
Mm.
didn't really mention in the interview, who's another great character. Because I wanted to
Oh,
have strong female characters in the book, so Ali
interesting.
and Portia are the two main characters and put into emotion a lot of the events actually. So I wanted to write interesting, multifaceted characters that the reader could relate to, and I wanted to have the strong female presence in there as well because
Mm,
I wanted all readers to enjoy it. But
interesting.
I'll read a small little section where all the everything's gone wrong, and Ali and Osiris are running from the law enforcement. So yeah,
Let's do it.
they emerged into a dimly lit and isolated area behind the building. It was now a frantic mission to reach safety, both rapidly drawing weapons. This way, Osiris said, while running in a northeasterly direction toward an alleyway. Where are we going? Ali asked between sharp breaths. There's a car parked in a warehouse near the 77th Avenue Bridge in the industrial area of the Harbour District. That's blocks away, and we have to go through Volta Central Gardens. We're never going to make it without being seen. Volta Central Gardens was a collection of burrows that housed thousands of gang members, one of the most impoverished, high crime areas of the city. They fled through a network of deserted alleyways and back streets, stopping to assess the scene before exposing themselves and moving to the next available cover.
Oh.
The police were already hunting them, mobilizing every available unit. And I'll leave it there, but yeah, it's right in the action.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Jaden. This is quite beautiful. I mean, this is quite amazing. I love your recitation. I enjoyed it. I never wanted it to stop. That's why I laughed when you said you're gonna leave it there. Yeah, that's quite beautiful. Yeah, and that's much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely. And just in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview, I would love to get a copy of your book. On what platform is it available on for purchase?
So if you're in Australia, just check around a local bookstore. I'm trying to expand out to more bookstores in the country.
Okay.
Um, if you're outside of Australia, just look up the Pendulum J.L. Whitton. There's plenty of sites to get it off. There's Amazon. I know some people don't like to support Amazon. There's other sites, Thrift Books. Uh,
Oh, Chief
there's
Books.
plenty of sites on there if you look it up. There's plenty of places if you just look up the Pendulum J.L. Whitton. And
Mm.
I'm hoping to expand out to some bookstores outside of Australia soon and get some international distribution. So, yeah, keep an eye out. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's lovely. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of JT Wilton books directly on Amazon and also on other platforms. So thank you so much, JT, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome having this conversation with you.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. No, it's been great. No, I was a little nervous, so I won't lie. But no, I think we had it was a really great talk, and I'm really
Abs-
happy to be on the show.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure as well. Thank you for coming on.